judgment and doubt are completely normal pieces of making change or of getting unstuck for wherever you're at in life. Judgment and doubt, totally a part of it. Very, very normal. And the reason for that is as we climb the polyvagal ladder, we will drop back down into more of a defensive state because feeling safe could be extremely uncomfortable for many people. If you're not used to it, and all of a sudden you start feeling trust and vulnerability, or you're making eye contact with like a therapist and you notice it, once you become aware of it, or even if you're not aware of it, just feeling these things can be really uncomfortable and send you right back down your polyvagal ladder into more of a defensive state. And so as you drop back down the polyvagal ladder, along with that story follows state, your thoughts change along with your state. And you're going to have judgments and you're going to have doubt. You're going to evaluate yourself. You're going to evaluate the situation. And again, none of these are inherently wrong. It's just part of the process. The issue is, are you getting sucked into it or not? Like, it might be difficult for many people just to start to like think more positively, which again, story follows state. So as you access more safety, you're going to have more positivity in your thinking. You're going to have more positivity in your behavior, or more social connectedness, more empathy in your feelings. You're going to have more generally, I'll say, positive feelings. And that's going to be a much different experience. Trust and vulnerability, those are weird if you're not used to them. Those are very uncomfortable, and they can send you right back down the ladder. So you kind of have to get used to these. And when I say get used to them, I don't mean like you force yourself to make eye contact with someone and get used to it. I mean that you continually put yourselves in situations where you feel more and more safety or calmness or connection or just being present in your body in the present moment. And the more you do so mindfully, you can start to build the strength of your safety state, your social engagement system. Basically, what I'm describing is your window of tolerance, or your vagal brake, the ability of the social engagement system to keep the heartbeat at a calmer pace, even when things get difficult. Along with this ladder climbing and then descending as things get challenging, it's very possible to have evaluations or judgmental thoughts. So, is this okay? Am I doing this right? Is this going to work? All these things that we're wondering and doubting and evaluating. Very possible these things pop up, and very, very normal. And it probably comes from some discomfort, some more defensive feelings possibly from accessing your own safety state and then going right back down the ladder. So if you can notice the thoughts, that's awesome. I think it's exactly where you need to be. It's fantastic. Then notice the feeling that comes along with it, because it's not just a thought. Our thoughts follow our state, but in between our polyvagal state and our conscious awareness of our thoughts might be some feelings. So what I would encourage you to do is, if you notice those thoughts pop up, what feeling is coming along with it? So if you're wondering, am I doing this right? Or is this okay to feel this way? Is this okay to focus on myself? If you're noticing those thoughts, what's the feeling that's kind of underneath that? And the next level would be then to like, what does it feel like to have that feeling? Meaning, if your thought is, I think I'm doing this wrong, the feeling might be nervousness, it might be concern, it might be worry, it might be anxiety. So, what does it feel like to be nervous? What does it feel like to be unsure? What does it feel like to have anxiety? Those feelings live in your body somewhere. And that's what I mean when I say those somatic sensations. So if you can, that would be even like a second or third step, which is noticing the thoughts, awesome. Noticing the feeling that comes along with it, fantastic. But then the next level is, what are those somatic pieces? What does it feel like in your body to have those emotions? That's what I mean. And like, give yourself a top-down normalization here, or validation. Yes, this is difficult, so validate that. But also normalize. You may have like decades worth of conditioning on a very biological level. I work with adults at nighttime. I work with kids in the daytime, but at nighttime, I'm working with adults that have literally decades worth of conditioning, of being stuck in a traumatized state, of existing in certain types of family dynamics that condition someone to be in more of a defensive state. So coming out of that and it feeling okay is a challenge. So normalize that. That's okay. That's completely normal. And especially based on someone's context and how long they've been in that context, it may take a while to come out of that and to build the strength of our vagal brakes or to build the strength of our safety state. That's okay. This would be like asking someone who doesn't run to run a mile under, I don't know what the normal time for a mile is, but let's say to run it under a really fast time, whatever that be, fill in the blank, I have no idea. So like that's kind of not realistic for someone to get an above average or below average time on a mile when they haven't practiced running a mile, if they're not runners, right? You have to put the work in first. You have to build your ability to do so. And then once you do that, you keep doing it in order to improve upon your mile time. And then once you do that, then you maintain it. So you kind of still have to keep going to maintain the same mile time, I suppose. You kind of have to, or maybe to be better than average for your age and weight and whatever. You kind of have to keep maintaining that progress by continuing to practice running that mile. So it's the same thing for our safety state. I don't expect anyone who hasn't practiced being in a safety state to all of a sudden feel it and to be able to maintain it. That's not a realistic expectation. So recognizing these feelings is a really good thing. I mean, maybe just recognizing the thoughts that pop in your mind first, but also recognizing the feelings that come along with it, the somatic sensations. That's a really, really good thing. That's actually a really good sign because it shows that there's more safety in your system. So if you're present enough to be able to notice, like, am I doing this right? If you can notice that thought and not just like dwell on how terrible you are at something. Oh, I suck so much. I'm going to be stuck my whole life. I can never change. That's a hell of a lot different than noticing, am I doing this right? Noticing the thought and then noticing the feeling that comes along with it. That's a lot different. You're not getting sucked into it. And now you're actually using it to your advantage. You're using that thought. You're recognizing it and then using it to your advantage to look a little bit deeper in, to do that stuck knot work of it being curious and exploring that inner world that you have. So if you can recognize the thought, that already shows that you have some more safety in your system. And that is a really good sign. In therapy, a lot of times what my clients will tell me is we'll have a session the next week, just checking about how progress is going, what was different this past week, what's going well, but also what needs to be worked on. And a lot of times they'll say, well, I noticed that, my presenting problem, like my anger level or my numbness, it was still there, but it was different. I was able to recognize it and be with it, or it just didn't get spiral out of control. I was able to be more present in the moment or in my body. So the problem's not 100% fixed, but I was able to maintain my conscious awareness of the present moment, of that moment, feel those feelings, and then handle it. Hopefully, oftentimes they will handle it a different way. At least it just doesn't spiral out of control like it used to. So that's not perfect. The work's not done yet, but that shows there's more safety in the system. There's more capacity to be with their feelings and to not get sucked into those like defensive kind of feelings.